everyone and welcome to my podcast. Today is a Monday afternoon. I'm happy to be here. This is our third episode in English. And why in English? So you see, I think most of my followers here in the podcast have some type of tech-related job and also belong to Latin America. So they also like to get some practice in English, and they told me if I can do some more tech talks, for example. So I'd be like, yeah, that's a good idea. And I had in mind that I would create an episode in English. But then what happened is that there was this controversy last week involving big tech. And I was like, oh, I can talk about it. I feel like I belong somehow in that. So here I am, and this is our third episode in English. I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for listening to me. So what happened? We're going to talk today about this topic called diversity hiring. And yeah, that's also what I wanted to make it in English, because I don't think it's like high of a controversy in Spanish. So what is diversity hiring? Well, some people see it as good, some people see it as bad, and it's actually the definition doesn't have any type of connotation. It just said it's the goal to have people from different backgrounds at the time of recruiting. That's it. It doesn't have any like morality into it. It's just a goal. This is we want more numbers, right? So then that's where some people argue that, oh, that's good or that's bad because you may be like interfering in the hiring process. So I wanted to talk about it. Why? Because I am a diversity hire. What? Yeah, so I have a Latino background and I'm also a woman, and that makes me a minority. And yeah, I was hired and I am diverse, so I guess I am a diversity hire. That's the key. That's the definition. There's no more into it. If people go and tell you, oh, diversity hiring, and tend to mean in a bad way, you should stop them and say, you know what diversity is. It's just the act of having different I even have the definition here. It's the practice of equality involving people from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds. That's what it is, and it's nothing that somebody should be ashamed of, or it's nothing bad. It's good, actually. I see it as good. So yeah, I am a diversity hire. I got my internship at Microsoft in 2016, and I remember that at that time when I got my internship, I was called diversity hire by some of my classmates, but it wasn't in a good way. It was a bad connotation. It meant something like so I before saying that, I want to give a little bit of context and background. So back in those days, there weren't like really many interns going to from Mexico, right, to the US in big tech. So what ended up happening is, I think out of my generation, I think it was like 3 people that we came here, and it was me, a woman, and 2 men. So what happened? So it was really, for me, it was kind of babbling, mouth opening, that people would say like, oh yeah, so these 3 got chosen. The two men were because they deserve it and they're smart, but me, no, because I'm a woman. so that was like the way of thinking on some people, and they actually went out of their way to tell me that. And of course I felt really bad. I didn't want to be related to anything called diversity. I was like, no, this is bad, and this makes me look like I don't deserve what I have. So yeah, many people tried to make me feel bad when I got my internship at Microsoft and told me like, it's just because of your looks, it's just because you're a woman. And I'd be like, okay, well, regardless, I went through the same interviews, I passed the same type of interviews, I have my results were positive, and that's why I have what I have, and that's it. And I still let's fast forward, and time went by and everything went great. So yeah, I know that the people who just wanted to attack me and say, oh, you're a diversity hire, I know it was because maybe they wanted the opportunity. I'm telling you, there weren't many internship opportunities back in the day. Right now there's more, but they're still pretty limited. So yeah, I understand that. And also, we were 20 years old, so it's normal. Maybe someone felt resentful, someone wanted my job. Yeah, maybe it was that, and I do blame them for making me feel bad, but I don't resent them. It's we were young, and it's okay. But at that time, I felt really bad to be a diversity hire, right? It was like a bad thing. I didn't want that to be associated with my name. But it's sad because you cannot dissociate from being diversity, because it was in my name, which is Spanish and it's female. Like, people would know, people would see me in person and know I am diverse, right? So as the years went by, and then I started working at Microsoft, and I felt really so I felt included and respected, and I got to meet other, for example, other women, other Latinos, and I felt I started to embrace my diversity and say like, oh, this is something good, and whoever made me think that being diverse was bad, it was due to their own issues and not because there's something wrong with me. So why am I bringing this into topic? And so last week there was this great controversy with Gemini AI. So what happened? They launched their AI text prompt model that, for example, is able to generate images, and people were asking them questions, and it's normal, right? When you launch a product, people will use it. But what ended up happening is that people were asking historical questions, like, for example, who was the founding father of America, and what would happen is that the Gemini AI would return, for example, the picture of a black woman. So people were really taken aback and outraged, like, what is happening? They're changing history. Google has gone woke, and they were people were really, really angry in the internet. There were some memes that were top notch. So I want to add some of a cultural background here, and I am Mexican, and we Mexicans laugh a lot about memes, about inappropriate things, about things that even like are supposed to hurt us. like yeah, we laugh about everything. Sorry, that's the way our culture is. So the memes were good, and they were funny, but they stopped being funny when people came out and started blaming it on diversity hires, saying that it was due to Google being full of diversity hires that this happened, and that it can't be possible, and that's because they don't hire brains anymore, and they just are looking to fill in their diversity gap with numbers. So I was really taken aback by a lot of comments I saw, and also like the amount of reactions they were generating. Like, it seems there were lots of people who were just in agreement with that type of thought, and to me it was very scary, because it was basically just blaming diversity in the workplace for what had happened at Google and Gemini, which for me it was almost like an insult. So I would be very angry if, I don't know, people blame my company, the company, I mean, saying like, I don't know, this product is bad, and it's because you, Grace, are in it, and you are Mexican. I would be very angry. I'd be like, what does that have to do with anything, right? I've been many years on my jobs, and I've been doing a good job, and why bring my race out of a sudden, right? So I was I was upset by the lots of people just claiming that they were throwing facts when no, they weren't. So that's why I said, you know what, I need to create a podcast, give some background, and I want to give you statistics, because I know I won't shut people up just by saying my opinion. So I will, you know what, you want statistics, you'll have statistics. So they claim that Google is full of apparently they think that it's majorly a group of black women giving orders, right, in Google. Well, no, guess what, we have the diversity report from Google from 2023, and turns out that it's very, very far from reality. It even shocked me. Why? Because, for example, I'm in Seattle, and Seattle, for example, there's many Asians around. It's normal, right? So when I go to work and I see lots of Asian people, given India and China and other countries, I'd be like, okay, the majority is Asian. We have an Asian majority, and we're doing very good with diversity. That's what I thought. Turns out, no. Turns out it's still the company, for example, being 50% white, then the other 50% being Asian. I mean, the other 50. We're already up to 100, right? No, I mean, the other 40, and then the 10 being the rest, which is Latinos and blacks and Native Americans and others. So I was really taken aback when seeing the actual report that there's not much diversity as I thought there was. And I'll give it even I'll break it even more that also the woman hiring is not in a very good position. Um, so even though some people debate that it has decreased, others that it has increased, it has kind of stayed the same, the diversity hiring over the years, and it's kind of, I think it's sad. Um, because for example in a team to be 30% woman, what does that tell me? Like uh, sometimes companies want to say it's because women aren't interested in it, but no, there's it is a very complex problem, like why there is a lack of diversity in the workforce, and I can talk a little bit about it if you want, but I want to go back to a point and make sure you guys are following me, that so there was a screw up with Gemini AI, and people were blaming it on the diversity. So I wanted to get the facts and tell you, like, no, 50% of Google is still white, like so you cannot come and tell me that this was because the engineering team behind Gemini is black woman. Of course not. So please, like, if you see any type of news regarding that, say like, oh, I know you think your joke is funny, but no, it's actually not, and it's factually incorrect, because and you can give them that diversity report. So why was I upset with this? Because tech companies have had their ups and downs and their leakages and their products not working correctly. And remember that time where ChatGPT turned NACI. so yeah, the product screw ups there have been before and after there was an effort to increase diversity. So it's not related. It's not. It's this correlation as people are making. I know it's because they get carried by the momentum and say it's because the new generations are very woke, and that's why all the tech companies are hiring. No, it's not that, and I wanted to disprove it in this podcast, and also give my point of view from someone who, okay, is a diversity hire, and for example, in this case, didn't have anything to do with the problem because it's not even the company I work at. But I wanted to bring that up because it's a negative stereotype that you guys are creating when you're tweeting stuff saying that it's that DEY killed everything. That's how you see it. Like you can even put like diversity memes and you find some some are funny, I guess. But it's kind of sad that people there just go and blame the diversity to this problem that had nothing to do with it. And I wanted to talk also about what happened there behind the scenes, right? So I'm not breaking any NDAs or anything. I, for example, spoke with a friend, and I'm just gonna tell you what they told us, and it's publicly available information. No problem. But I did ask them. They work at Google, and I said like, hey, what happened? Like, tell me, like, come on, the images are funny, like something big going on in there. And then he said, no, but don't pay attention to those prompts. Most are actually how did he say, like they're actually hacking it, they're cheating, they're not being they're not using the chat like they should. And I mean, what do you mean by that? And he said like, oh, come on, you see the screenshot, but you don't know what happened beforehand in the conversation with the AI, right? You don't know if the person said like, hey, I'm gonna ask you this and you're going to respond this to me, or you can kind of add some bias to it. So that's what's happened. And I've seen it, some of the memes that you see what they ask, and some don't even care to cover their history from above, and you see like, and these people were just trying to cheat the AI and getting them to throw controversial results, right? And no, so it's because an AI is trained. It will evolve depending on what you're typing for it, right? So it's normal that they'll learn and like talk back. So yeah, if you've had a conversation that you're previously stating that you want like the I don't know, you can be creating some bias. That's my point that I wanted to say in the conversation. What does that mean, that all the screenshots are biased, or like they didn't provide historically inaccurate information? No. There was an issue, and that's why then the the Google, who came in? I don't know, the image, the founding father of Gemini AI came up and apologized and say like, no, we're working on it, and yeah, we realized what happened. So one, I told you, like my friend working at the company said, you know what? No, people are cheating, and they're just taking advantage of how the process of how an AI works, and trying to get it to say stuff that's harmful. So that's one. And then on the other side, yeah, okay, there was some issue at Google, but what happened? So the AI had been trained. Again, I told you this is AI, and they train and then they learn and they evolve to make sure that a range of people were included in its results. But what happened there? When that training came by, they didn't realize that they could alter history. So that's where I find at this point, that's where I find it kind of funny, right? Because at the end of the day, the computer is doing what you ask them to do, and yeah. So at this point, if you tell, I don't know, imagine the AI a set of instructions and tell them, you know what, for every result, make sure like there is diversity. Well, they're gonna say okay, and when people ask them questions that have nothing to do with diversity, they'll say, oh, how do I put diversity into this answer? Yeah, I'll add it, and that may make the answer wrong. Yeah, that's what ended up happening. So it was a human mistake. I don't believe at any point that it was intentional or it was malicious. It was an effort to try to include diverse results that ended up backfiring. But also because people knew that the AI was trained, they started like being, I'd say, like using it in a harmful way, and trying to exploit the vulnerability, right? And showing like, oh look, they are very bad, and they are racist if you ask about the white man, and so yeah, lots of things came up in social media, and it was crazy. But what I thought was more crazy was people blaming it on diversity, and I was like, no. Oh yeah, because they also claim like it's because diversity has gone too far. That's what they claim. You can never have too much diversity. I'll make it simple. If you have a lot of diversity, like it's kind of a what's the word, it's a paradox, because they claim like, oh yeah, that's because they have a group full of black women. Well, guess what, if it's a group of full of black women, then it's no longer diverse, right? Because it's in the meaning of the word diverse is different. So no, there is never too much diversity. And if there is too much of one opinion, then it means that there is no diversity. So it's like, come on. It's on the definition itself. So I think here there were many fallacies in place, and we had an episode on fallacies. Just that, sorry, that's in Spanish, but you Spanish speakers will will understand where I'm getting at. So yeah, today nowadays the internet is full of people saying logical fallacies, and at some point they're kind of funny, right? Like this one, not saying like there was too much diversity. I'm like, and no, you're implying that sorry, wait 1 second. I'm about to sneeze. Thank you. Sorry. I mean, I'm like, no, what you're implying is exactly the opposite of what diversity means. So come on, be smarter on that. So yeah. I think I wanted to touch a little bit also on yeah, there's some diversity problems in the workplace. We're still very bad, and in tech in general, I don't wanna like pull any company on the spot. It's the for example, the statistics of like, oh yeah, 50% white and 40% Asian. Yeah, that's in a lot of big techs, not only Google, for example. And I think there's still a lot of underrepresentation from minorities. And which minorities? Black people, Latino, also Native American. They're like nothing. So, and when they say, oh yeah, 40% of the hiring is Asian, well, guess what, 80% of that is men. So that isn't really very diverse also, right? So I wanted to get to the stats of women, and yeah, the stats of women are really I'd say something to be alert for, because yeah, it seems even we've had years in all companies to make the women in the workforce increase. It's still nowadays that I see on the teams where like 30% women, even less. And I am not sure what like I think it's a very complex issue, and there's many factors to it, so it's not something that has a simple answer. No, I think it would have been solved if that were the case, right? I found some like why why is there the lack of diversity intake, right? Well, there's many contributing factors. So sometimes what happens is, like, for example, big tech likes word of mouth, likes experience, statistics. So they say, okay, we hired these people and they were good, so we're gonna go, for example, into their university and hire more people. So sometimes they go back. Well, no, sometimes it's proven that they go back to where they got good engineers to get more engineers, right, over the years. But what happens if you go to this university which is primarily white and male? Well, you still get more primarily white male candidates. So this pool, the recruitment pool, can lack diversity at its core. So if you continue giving talks to all white men, like, how do you expect women to arrive at your workplace? so that's one issue, right? The lack of diversity pools, the lack of diversity in recruitment pools. Then there's also some factors like the pay gap. What do I mean here? So in here, and this is not talking like any company names, it's the process of outsourcing with a concept when it's like other companies hire from abroad. Well, what happens? Sometimes these positions, or not sometimes, even like most of the times, they offer lower wages. So there can be one same job by like two, well, no, I'd say like two job postings that look the same, like the same duties, but will have a different pay. So yeah, there is a pay gap in place, and there's like information for it. There is statistics, and I would lie if I say like, oh, I understand very well where this comes from. No, but I know that there is a pay gap, and it's not only like, oh, it's between man and woman. No, it's even between ethnicities. I know for a fact that well, no, I wouldn't say I know. I'd say maybe I suspect. For example, for us Mexicans, like coming to the US and earning a salary in dollar, and also a good salary in general is good. So sometimes we'll take the opportunity and won't even question or won't even like negotiate for a higher deal, right? Because it's like, oh, it's an opportunity to go to another country that has a better economy, and I'm gonna take it. So you don't really put that much barriers. As if you were born American, I feel you have this more of a range to negotiate and be like, yeah, no, give me more. so I think that's also one thing that, for example, us Latin Americans need to learn a little bit more about negotiation and knowing our work's worth, right? Yeah, work's worth. I said it correctly. So yeah, a lack of diversity in IT, it's also about the absence of role models, right? So you too, I don't know if they told me like, who's your favorite programmer? That's Latin America, that's in big tech. I think like and that's, I don't know, also a woman. I don't know any. Sorry, I don't. so see, like when there is a lack of a model, it's also hard to bring in people from that for example minority, because they'd say like, no, there's no one like me there, why would I want to go there? And also, which brings me to the last reason, that's also like, okay, some people let me see if this is I have several articles in here. This one I liked a lot, because it could also be because of the tech culture. And there are companies that can claim that, yeah, we're super diverse, and then you enter the company and you'll see all the leading positions are men. When women enter the meeting, they're supposed to take notes. Like there's some like really harmful stereotypes that even women tech can enter and want to leave. So yeah, for example, this article says the dropout rate is 250% higher than other jobs for women in tech. So by the age of 35, a lot of women have left tech, and that is that. I think this also is a contributing factor that they want to form a family, and it's not. They give like parental benefits, but they're still like a long way, right? Because when you, for example, decide to have a baby as a family, well, like the woman. Generally speaking, is the one that goes through the process of giving birth, and then what is the word, sorry, recovering, and that may take like it's it's really variable, and between human and human, some people can like have birds and be okay, and others people will be very bad and they'll take a lot of time to be back in the workforce. Like it varies a lot. So also it's understandable, like women have to at one point choose between like their career or their family, right? Which is sad, but it's a decision, and it's respectable whatever they choose. But it's also a factor I wanted to bring that up, right? Like the culture, and also if the culture doesn't help you, for example, if you want to plan a family and you don't want to like leave it because of your career, then yeah, you need to leave, and it's understandable. We're not trying to justify, or we're just trying to explain like why we know there is lack of diversity. Why does it happen, right? These are some of the reasons. To be honest, there should be many more, and even like more complex than what I explained. But being what do I want to close this with, like this podcast? I now embrace being a diversity hire, but at some point I didn't. At the beginning, I didn't want to talk about it. I felt it was bad, which it was sad because it was like a tag you couldn't brush off, because I told you it's in my name, it's in how I look. Like I couldn't hide I was a woman from Mexico in my job as much as I tried to. So I learned to embrace it. I understood. I understand now that the people who say diversity are bad are because they don't understand the concept of diversity very well, or they have some type of resentment. So, but I understood that it is not in me; it's in them. So yeah. To these closing thoughts, I would say, well, we went through what happened with Google Gemini. We saw the claims that people saying, oh, it happened because of this, because you have diverse staff, and then we proved them wrong with some facts from the diversity annual report, and said like, no, you're actually like the workforce is still majority white. So what do you mean? So yeah, I like that we brought up a case of that actually happened, and we were able to analyze it a little bit. And I also wanted to tell my experience and how I saw it as something bad. Like me, a diverse hire, at some point I was like, oh, this is bad and I don't want to be associated with it too, and then I came to embrace it. Would I say that I am one of the people that are like, yeah, those Latinos, let's gather, and Latino power? And yeah, no, I'm really just an engineer doing my day-to-day job, and yeah, surviving sometimes. And but I like it. I like being a Latino, and I'm a proud, a small percentage, right, of the Latinos at this company. But I feel I deserve my job, and I deserve what I have, and I am happy with my contributions. I feel like what I have been given, I have also given back with the quality of my work. So yeah, remember, I'd say, and this is personal, I don't want to even say it's personal opinion. I know it's a fact that diversity is good and that you'll never have too much diversity. It's important when you build products that are used globally to account for all the global people, right? Not just, okay, let's I know it's hard. Okay, you're building a product based on the US, yeah, but if it's gonna be used by the world, it's really useful for it for you to have different minds. Some people, like I said, were blaming the Gemini incident, saying like, no, you could have fixed it with more white men. I'm like, no, how does that even? We already showed that it had nothing to do with diversity. What I think would have been great, like to avoid something like getting historical errors, was hiring historians and actually have historians go through the prompts and ask some questions, and they being like, oh yeah, this is accurate, or oh no, or file some bugs. Seriously, you say like, oh okay, this is not working as we intended. So yeah, there was just like a lack of testing. We would say it was an accident. It was not intended. In tech in general, there's stuff breaks all the times, and we're humans behind the code, so it's okay. Let's just be able to recognize the bigger picture. And for example, like my friend said, no, that some of the prompts were cheated, there was some malicious intent on, like, making the company look bad, and then again he said like, no, I know that there was a mistake from our side, but that doesn't mean like also people took advantage of it and started like using just trying the prompt with the chat the AI, sorry, with ill intentions. So it's important to you, when for everyone, when you see a controversy in tech, and especially if like diversity is being blamed, first, like, stop. Try to stop, think, see the bigger picture, and don't just go with the flow and say like, oh yeah, they say it's because it's diversity, yeah, definitely, I'm just gonna believe those tech bros. And no, be the bigger person. Think, don't speak with your emotions, right? I think this is more like, I don't know, I feel this is more like on a personal level, right? Like, this talks much more about themselves, I guess. These people that are just blaming diversity for everything, like, no. um be smarter when you tweet, I guess. So yeah, thanks for coming and listening to me. We are now at almost 30 minutes. I mentioned in the beginning that I actually had talked 40 minutes previously, trying to talk about this, but I didn't like how it came out. I felt like I was missing like some stories, some yeah, like I didn't like how stuff fit into place, but I did like this episode and how we addressed the issue, and I also gave my perspective. So I wanted to close saying, yeah, I'm fine right now, and I'm happy to be to represent diversity. And I know there's still a long way to go, but I want to be of those people that promote it and say that it's a good thing, right? And so yeah, I invite you to be one of those people. I think that the more you include people in your workplace and are respectful, the more other people will want to join. And it's important to consider diversity in place, because we end up making products for a global world, right? So that's what I want to leave you with. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good one. Bye bye.